Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the LDARC KK Super Tower. This is a pretty interesting power stack here. You get your 4-in-1 ESC and your flight controller plus video transmitter on a single board here. So two-board system. I think, basically right to the point, it's a good overall stack if you're going to be doing 4S. But that's the limit. You can't do 6S on this or 5S. It's only 4S. And for those of you that were wondering about this stack in the this was the KK5 GT. If you saw that video and you want more details on that stack, this is that video. I'm going to be going over a little more details on that stack. And if you're watching this video and haven't seen the video on the KK5 GT, you want to see how this stack performs in a plug-and-play model. I believe that, plug-and-play didn't come with a receiver. You can watch that video and flight demo of the stack in action. It's the exact same stack but in this pre-built model here. Obviously with the 2306 motors, it might perform a little bit differently on different motors, but I thought it performed pretty good. So basically you get two boards. You get a 4-in-1 ESC here. It's BLHeli S, so only up to D-Shot 600. It's a 40 amp with a 45 amp burst. It does come with a current sensor, and it's a pretty nice board. Not a whole lot of noise. You'll see in the flight demo from the other video. I'll put a card in the corner. Check out that video if you want to see the video noise from this. It's not really a whole lot. Little plug connector here, wiring loom that will go from the 4-in-1 ESC to the flight controller, and that's included, of course. There's the wiring loom plus a small capacitor. This helps clean up the video noise a little bit. And the wiring loom then plugs in over here. That's some more capacitors for video filtering. It's an F4 flight controller, Betaflight OSD, 8K gyro MPU 6000. Uses a bunch of these little plugs here for your buzzer, receiver, LEDs, and of course those plugs are also included here. They're all nicely labeled and color coordinated. If you like using plugs and stuff, you're going to like this board. It's very easy to set up. If you don't like plugs and prefer soldering points, then you might not like this board. They do have some solder points here, which are very hard to read for some of the UARTs next to the USB port. They're very tiny. You got a bootloader button there. You do have a button here for your VTX. So got the LEDs here for your power band channel. MMCX connector, a little button for that. I think there's a button here and also one over here, and this one here. So you can use either one top or on the side. Now the VTX is power switchable, pit mode all the way to 600 milliwatts, which is great. Includes heatsink so that the board doesn't overheat, which is a problem with a lot of these boards that have a built-in video transmitter, especially at 600 milliwatts. And I did fly this around on 600 milliwatts before and didn't notice any issues, so the heatsink does seem to be working. Of course, you should be flying around. If you just on the ground at 600 milliwatts and just leave it on the ground, it will eventually overheat because it does need airflow over the heatsink for the heatsink to work properly. Now, if you don't want to use the buttons or the LEDs for changing your bands and channels, then this does have VTX remote control via the IRC Tramp protocol. Just use one of the UARTs for that, and you can obviously change everything via the Betaflight OSD and on your transmitter, which is what I've been using pretty much exclusively. I didn't even touch the buttons on this one. So the voltage regulator on here is a 5V 3 amp voltage regulator, so it should be able to handle pretty much anything you throw at it. Most cameras and receivers. Obviously the VTX is powered directly off the board here, so don't have to worry about that. Shouldn't have any issues with the voltage regulator browning out on you or on this particular board. Okay, so for the rest of the stuff you get here, you get a SMA adapter here to MMCX connector, and you just plug in your antenna into that. And then you do get mounting hardware here. You do get some rubber dampeners, spacers, and obviously some long screws to mount up this hardware. Of course, you could use alternative nylon hardware if you happen to have something on your own, but I believe it is meant to be used with the hardware that's included. So the one thing that I thought they should have included, but I didn't find in here, was the XT60 and the wire that's usually included with a lot of the ESCs. So I'm not sure why that wasn't included. At least it wasn't in the box that I had. Yeah, usually those are included, but those don't usually cost too much. So the one thing that I thought was something that was an oversight, they should have included that. Otherwise, I thought this is an overall good package if you want to build something pretty basic Nothing too too fancy, and obviously nothing success related, of course. This might actually be pretty good for something like a 7-inch long range rig, which is what I'm going to be probably putting this into is one of the I think the HL7 from iFlight RC, that frame at some point, because it's a 2-stack system, low profile and pretty low weight, and it should be fine on a 7-inch rig running 4S with a 7-inch prop. So 40 amps should be plenty. But if you're looking for another video where I'll have this running on a 7-inch rig, I'll have probably a video down the road with that in there. If you want to see this in action on a 5-inch rig, just go and watch the video on the KK5GT. Pretty good overall build here for a plug-and-play 5-inch racer. Obviously bottom mounted battery, 2306 motors. I thought it was overall, pretty decent for what you get for the money. I think it's around $200 for this one. So I'll put links to that, the video, and obviously the flight stack if you're interested in checking all this stuff out down in the description. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.